I am a professor of fashion. Other than that, if you talk about my first love, that is art, I am a watercolorist. I am also a graphic designer.
Hello, everyone. Today, I have the great pleasure of meeting our artist Anuttama Chakraborty in her apartment near New Delhi. And she's been with us with TERAVARNA.com, and recently she even participated in TERAVARNA.in, where she again won. I mean, she's won before, but she's also won with TERAVARNA.in in our first competition. So, and she mainly does watercolor, but I'll let her speak about it and explain everything. So I'll just have her introduce herself. So, Anutama, can you please introduce yourself? And
First, I would like to really thank Niladri for giving me this honor. I'm really very, very humbled because of this entire thing happening today, and it's still very unbelievable. I'm Anuttama Chakraborty. Now, I have actually different kinds of introductions. Now, by profession, I am a professor of fashion, and I am currently working with NIFT Delhi in the fashion design department. Other than that, if you talk about my first love, that is art, I am a watercolorist. I am also a graphic designer. I really love to do fashion illustrations. I love textile developments. I like lino cuts. I do a lot of mediums which comprise of textile manipulations, different kinds of oil pastels, watercolors, poster colors, gouache, and so on and so forth. And the thing is, I'm still learning whatever I find interesting. That way, my list is very extensive.
absolutely. So, Anutama, let's start with your the process of making art. Like, so for instance, let's start with, let's say, watercolor, your main medium, or the one that you use the most. So, how do you, from a start to finish, can you explain the process for our viewers?
The thing is, it starts with a thought that I must do something. I believe it is there for every creative person that there is this creative itch which happens. Okay, after that, what I feel is I start with the paper. As you know, in watercolor, the paper quality is very integral. There are different kinds of papers, there are various qualities of papers at different prices. Now, when I started doing, I think the Chitrapat paper, which is a very good option at a low price. So I would say that's the Indian arches. Okay, and I agree, different watercolorists who are learning how to understand the medium and comprehend, what are the applications of the medium, they would agree with me completely. So I start with the paper. Now, there are different kinds of finishes to the paper. Some are very smooth, some are very rough. It depends what kind of a subject I'm picking. Let's say if I'm picking florals, in that case, I want it to be very smooth. In that case, I will prefer a medium to a smooth. That is a hot pressed to a medium grain paper. On the other hand, if I'm planning to do a landscape which has a lot of rocks or textures, in that case, I would prefer a more or something like a cold press to a more medium grade paper. So it depends how I am going to approach, depending on the thought. So that's the first thing. The second thing is my color palette. If you go through my paintings, you will see that there are different kinds of items or things that I have attempted. In the sense, I've attempted cityscapes, beaches, flowers, animals. So it varies a lot. So it depends on what kind of topic I'm picking to paint. I will actually decide on the size of the paper. So usually I work small size. The maximum size is half imperial that I've worked till date. Most of the sizes vary from A4 to A3. Most of the sizes. So then I do the mounting of the paper. So I take a hard base. On top of that, I usually tape it up so that it doesn't buckle. Because when you wet a paper, it tends to buckle.
Right, absolutely.
So until and unless it's a very good quality paper. But still we need the stability of the paper. Now, I do not have a studio setup, as I told you, and that's an advantage also because I have the freedom to work anywhere I go.
Absolutely.
So I can move, so I am free to do that. I also use a lot of sketchbooks at times when I am working small scale. Now, regarding my mediums, I actually can start with anything. I start with graphite, or I start with directly with a pen, or I start directly with a brush. And pencil is, of course, the conventional way to start with. So I sketch, I make the sketch. Usually, I do a value study to demarcate the areas I want to go dark with, or I want to keep highlights, because we cannot actually cover up the highlight areas in watercolor. People who would know, because there's no way I can cover up. Though there are ways, when we grow professionally, we actually find out ways to cover up our mistakes. But when we start with it, we'll have to be very, very careful about these things. So once that is done, I start with my subject. When I start, I can't actually express it to you because it's like being in a dream. The process is a process. I enjoy it completely. But if you ask me, immaculate details about why did you pick up that stroke, why did you pick up that color, it's more like an experience. So to pick out one text and to tell you, it won't actually give you the holistic meaning of the painting until and unless I take a painting and explain it.
Of course. No,
So-
I get the point. I get you.
Yes. So I think it is a very dynamic process. If I'm asked to define it, it is very difficult because when I'm doing water or when I'm doing a cityscape, when I'm doing a floral, it's all very different. But if you talk about the general understanding of watercolors, I think value study is something which is very, very integral and is a must for every artist, because I have to understand where is the light coming from. Is it three-dimensional or is it flat? Is it supposed to be textured? Is it supposed to be on gray tones? Or is it supposed to be absolutely saturated bright hues? So these are certain considerations which I do for each and every painting separately. There is no generic language to this.
Okay. Thank you for explaining. So, do you do it? Does that mean that you do it in one sitting, or do you take several days to go over the main part of it? I mean, I'm sure you plan it well ahead, but once you start execution, does it finish usually in a day or two? Or
Yes, I try to finish it in a day because these are like glimpses. For example, when we sleep and we are dreaming, for some odd reason, the sleep breaks in between and we want to go back to the same dream. We cannot go back.
we never can.
Yes. So
Exactly.
I think watercolor.
That's the other thing about watercolor.
Yes.
You can't really.
Yes,
go
so
back.
what happens, I am already in between a thought. So if I want to go back to the thought after 5 days, it actually is very difficult for me. Maybe people can, but I can't.
Yeah,
So I try to complete the painting within 3 to 4 hours, however long it takes me to.
Yeah. So I mean, the other thing is like the character, the treatment with watercolor, the fluidity, is that it's such that if you leave it and then do it again, it'll be like another.
Exactly, because you are in the midst of something, you are within a thought. You can just break off, and go out of an open door and come back.
Right.
It's never like that. I think it's one way. It's not
Right,
both
exactly.
ways.
Yeah. So how did you discover your style?
Well, I'm glad to know that you recognize my style, so I take it as a compliment.
Of course.
See, the thing is, at first I started painting within shapes. So that is how I started. So I started seeing the shapes as in a circle. But then I started, because I'm also a graphic designer and a designer in my head. So I started thinking other way also. What if I have to draw a circle, but I leave the circle out and draw the peripheral area and let it look like the circle. Like, for example, if I'm trying to draw the moon and I do not want to paint the moon, so what do? I paint all around the void and keep the moon as black and let the moon shine. So the same thing applies for watercolors, because the highlights have to be left out.
Absolutely.
So I think it's my critical mind which actually soaks in everything that I see. I love seeing a lot of work and works of watercolorists, of course, and I am actually privileged in a way because I teach watercolors and painting to the design students. I get to see a lot of work which are being done by the students, in a way they are absolutely fresh work. So whenever I see a fresh thought, I behave like a sponge. I actually soak that particular technique. So I think overall it's an amalgamation of different things that I see from master artists, as well as what that I do as mistakes, which I finally maybe fine tune it and maybe make it not look like a mistake anymore. And the other things that the amateurs do, which I feel could also be used in a very creative manner. So it's a mix of all the three. So that works really is my style.
Right. No, I understand. Yeah. And so, so do you this style that you elaborate, style that you just explained? Do you have a name for it? I mean, do you call it anything, or is it like the Anutama style? I mean, does it have a name?
What style? I don't know, but I think it's evolving. So I will love to put a comma over there and not a full stop, because it's
Right.
ongoing. I'm still evolving. I'm learning at every moment. I'm learning at everything that I see. I really appreciate how people differ in their styles. For example, some people love it as opaque. Some people love it as transparent. Some people, paint very, very dreamy images. And I think I love my love for classicism, my love for realism, my love for something which is very creative and illusional, helps me to grow within also.
Mm.
So I'm still evolving. I can't say this is my style.
Right.
Maybe tomorrow I find my style to be more evolved or
Absolutely.
changed.
So, what inspires you to release your great paintings?
I think the technique inspires me more than the subject. It is the play of the watercolor when we actually take a wet base and let the colors, take their own shapes and forms. They play. It's very unpredictable actually in watercolor.
Yeah.
And it's not always a success, I think. There may be a lot of mistakes. And then to play around with the mistakes, to make way out of those difficulties. And then when you do it somehow and you feel, okay, this is looking nice. So it is actually different from what you had it in mind earlier. So inspiration, I actually get inspired with the technique more than the object. Okay.
Sure.
Or the subject. So for example, I want to work with interplay of colors in the water. I would preferably pick up a landscape, okay, or a beachscape, or something which is very dreamy, something where it will take its own shape. So I do the preliminary drawing with the pencil, but the pencil lines never become a bar for me. So if I think I have to break away, I usually break them.
What's your favorite medium?
Watercolor.
There you go. Yeah. So.
But I told you
Right, you do
there's,
others.
there's a comma. So at times when I am not getting as much time, because it will take me 3 hours again,
Right.
so I would prefer to do medias or mediums, which will give me some time, so I can stop. So wherever there's that open door, and I can go and come back.
Anything other than watercolor, probably you see that. I mean, oil and charcoal.
Yeah, so oil takes
Stop.
time to dry.
Yeah.
So it is giving me time.
Exactly.
But in watercolors, if I wait and if
You
I
cannot. Yeah.
let it dry,
You'll get a
and
different texture.
unwillingly, it will actually might create a patch, and it will not create those watery effects which I want to create.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it has to be in control.
Okay. Yeah. And do you like on the like do you start with the wet surface? Do you wet it first, or do you start with the dry? Like the paper itself.
It will depend what am I planning to draw. If I want something very blurry, or if I want to wash, if I want a very beautiful gradient, or maybe I'm working on a sky, which is like a dawn sky or a dusk sky, where I want multiple colors to blend uniformly, in that case, a wet base, of course. But in case I'm working on something which is very specific to
Detailed,
shape, in that case, I will preferably work on a drier base
Okay.
or a semi-dry base.
Okay. Also, how did you start making art?
Well, it's very difficult to tell the chronological order when I started art. But it probably started with very mundane things like joining raindrops on the wall and trying to create a picture out of it. Or it could be very, very common things like drawing on the wall as children do. Yeah. So it probably started at a very preliminary age.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I mean. But then did you continue with that?
Yes, I did continue. If you ask me whether I went to any art school, yes, I did. Where I don't have any certificates for them. But when I grew up after 12th, I joined design college. Though I always wanted to join art college, but at that point of time, my friends, relatives, my people who really love me, they said, "Okay, you have to earn money. Who's going to sustain?"
Right.
So that became a concerning factor. That is the reason I joined into designing, because I was explained that designing and art went hand in hand.
Exactly.
So if you have money, you will have the money to buy canvas, buy paints. But if you don't have money, you will actually starve and you won't have money to buy anything. So it was a lot of compromise, which I currently understand as I am turning almost 45, 46. But maybe I have the resources where I can still think of going back. But yes, I can't get back my younger years. But I've got a lot of experience. I believe that is also going to help me somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, so this that you explained when you did the thing about the water, so that was in Kolkata, right? So you moved from Kolkata later on in your life.
Yes, my childhood was absolutely in Kolkata. I studied in a school in Kolkata. I was in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. And yes. So after,
Okay, got it.
yes.
After that,
So
yes.
after that, I was learning drawing, off and on, but not as a formal class I ever had. But I always wanted to do something with art. Immediately after school, I joined Loreto College. I joined geography honors.
Okay.
But again, why geography honors? Because I thought I will do maps which had a lot of colors and topography and textures, etc. So you can see the creative connect. But after a year, I really got bored because I had Paulson, statistics, and all of that. So I thought, no, I have to do something creative. At that point of time, Kolkata was new.
Right. Okay.
So I sat for it and I got through it. My parents were a little, why, go away from the conventional studying to design? Because at that point of time, designing was seen synonymous to absolute workers and it wasn't seen as, what should I say, lucrative in terms of the income that we would make in future. But anyway, my parents supported at the end and then I passed out from NIFT Delhi. After that, I started working in the industry as a fashion designer. So I used to do a lot of graphics for t-shirt designs, trouser design. I used to design silhouettes for garments. I used to do color combinations, etc., etc. So after that, I actually got married very soon when I was like 22 and a half. I moved to Delhi. We were here. My husband is a geologist, so he has a transferable job. Again, within a year, we moved to Arunachal Pradesh. So I went back to Kolkata to work. And then off and on, I went to Arunachal Pradesh and stayed. So the nature actually inspired me a lot. I could actually feel the clouds coming to my house. I remember my house was on a hill. It was very beautiful. At that point of time, I used to draw a sketch in a drawing book, sketchbook, but not formally. After that, when I came back to Delhi, after my child was born, we both moved back to Delhi. He was also transferred. Then I was working in the industry again as a fashion designer. After that, after some years, I found my job, which I'm currently also doing. I'm working as a professor in NIFT, as I told you. There, I picked up subjects which would connect me to drawing. So I taught them drawing, fashion illustration. I had the way of exploring different mediums, different papers. I got to see a lot of master artists who used to come as guest faculty, etc., etc. Now, this actually spurred up when there was COVID and I was sitting at home. Our classes had come to a halt some way, and I thought, I could really feel the urge to do something creative because all this while, some way or the other, I was connected with the creativity.
So one of the things that artists face worldwide and you face in India, I'm pretty sure, are different challenges. So what kind of challenge do you think most that you faced?
I am fortunate enough. If you ask me about my challenges as an artist, I don't have any challenges as an artist because I'm growing. And like the way a bud comes out of a seed, I'm like that. I always feel like that. 10 years I was feeling like that because there was a lot that was, there to learn. Right now I feel the same because there's a lot. Maybe I've grown in size, but still the environment remains the same. It is how you become a pearl in the sea and there is so much water around you and you absorb everything.
Yeah.
At any point of time there's a huge resource from where you can take. So I don't think it is challenging if we give ourselves willingly. I don't think challenges will make much sense. But
Okay. Yeah.
there's one but over here. I think 24 hours, yes, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm also a professor. So I think the challenges we have, we really do not have much to do about it. We cannot extend the 24 hours limitation. But what I think is maybe if I could balance my art equally with my profession, that would have been a really win-win situation, which I'm sure which I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So a challenge is not a challenge. I think it's within. The challenge is not outside. It's not extrinsic. It's intrinsic.
So Anutama, can you let us know how you learned about TERAVARNA?
Okay, actually, I think I have a group of watercolorists, friends, who actually told me you could actually submit your entry to TERAVARNA. They are very, very genuine and they really appreciate if you're working well. So I actually searched up with the internet to find TERAVARNA and I actually saw a lot of participants all around the world participate. So I actually gave it a try. And I was really amazed, not at the first time I could make it because the standards of TERAVARNA were really high, but I could make it to the, honorable mentions where I thought, okay, if, with the first try I got into the honorable mentions, I could give it a few more tries. And later on, I found myself, my name, on the higher list where I also won cash awards. And that is how I came to know it. So it was like a trial and error method. And of course, the word of mouth, where I heard from friends.
Okay, that's great to know. Did you communicate with anyone, or do you find communication any issue, or?
No, not at all. It's very, very clear. It is very nicely written. They have a very professional website. And if you actually go through the website, they have the records of the previous competitions also. And they have competitions in different sections. For example, there are people who are very good with colors. They could actually apply for the color competition. They have one which is for the landscapes. So, so it's not that, if a particular competition is going on, you will have to compete there only. You can actually wait for the one where you relate to the most.
You can relate on your work.
Yes, and
Yes, yeah. Thank you. So my question here is, do you find anything like that TERAVARNA can do for you or artists like you that we are already not doing, or anything that we don't do as well? You can be free to let us know, because we are always trying to take feedback from artists and gather what kind of issues they're having or what more they want.
It is something which Indian artists and painters are looking forward. India has a lot of talent. Even if you actually look into the artworks of budding artists who are currently studying in art colleges, it's amazing to see. They are actually half artists. All they are doing is to refine their skills. There are a lot of amateur artists like us also who couldn't get into a college, who do not have the disciplinary professional degrees to do that. But what we are looking for is a platform to introduce ourselves. Any artist goes through a lot of struggle in making them recognized. I was reading somewhere that how many Picasso's paintings we actually know. He had painted maybe more than thousands of pictures, but we know only a few pictures because that is which came into the highlight. Those were the paintings which were either patronized or or exhibited or published, and that is how people know about it. But he had an immense amount of paintings that he had actually done. So what is happening at today's era, because we have the internet, we have the Facebook, and we have other means of publication. TERAVARNA can actually help us there, where we do not have maybe pages for ourselves, but we can showcase somewhere which could be networked in the other countries as well.
Yeah.
So there definitely TERAVARNA has absolutely.
Okay, we'll definitely keep that in mind and try to. So, anything else you would like to say before we end? Or
No, I think it's a wonderful gesture that you came over here.
it's my pleasure.
So far, and I think it's great to talk to you.
Yeah.
I think Niladri
Yes.
is a wonderful as a person to talk to. I mean, even if we did not actually video shoot it, I think I could have spoken to you.
Yeah. I love talking to artists, especially in a lot of things that I don't know. I'm also absorbing a lot of things that I don't know. I feel like obviously I know much less than.
No, it's not about that. I think we all are in our own experiential plane, and we see the world with our own perspective. So everybody has something or the other to share.
Absolutely. So it was great coming here and interviewing you, and hopefully, and you've been our artist for a long time, and you've been pretty celebrated within TERAVARNA, so we know everybody knows your name.
Thank you.
So thanks for having me. Okay.
Thank you so much.